When I started at junior school was known as the Bacon Box College. I think because it was made of wood and it must have looked a bit like a bacon box. They did there was a kitchen there where they made the school dinners, both for the junior school and for the infant school. But I didn't stay for dinners there, not till I went to grammar school later. I used to stay at Grandma's, which was nearly opposite the junior school, for dinner and just after school, because Mama decided that now I was that bit older, she could go back to work. I've got a picture of Grandma and Granddad as it happens. I haven't got many pictures of many things, but I have got this one, obviously when they were younger. This is the time when Grandma used to tell me stories, but I think one of the first things that she explained to me was about her diabetes, how she was one of the first, or the first, I can't remember, person in Leicester to have insulin, whose life to be saved from type 1 diabetes with insulin. It's interesting to think back that she was just proud of it, and how she went to the hospital and the various tales, which I don't really remember now, about the doctors and everything. There was never any mention of money, because I think it was all provided free from the fetes that were held in the villages, because it was long before the NHS was ever thought of. I thought I'd just make that point. She explained to me that I might one day come home from school and find her unconscious, and if I did, I was to smell her breath, and I think I got this right now, that so long as she didn't smell, her breath didn't smell fruity or like nail varnish remover, then it was safe to give her glucose, and then that would probably be all right. But if it wasn't, then I should get help. She had glucose tablets, but you would sort of crumble a bit and rub it in a gum, she said. It only ever happened once. She was sort of not unconscious, she was just obviously not with it, and I sort of made her take a glucose tablet and was careful to see that she did in fact chew it, and it is like a miracle cure. A couple of minutes and she was back to normal. Only she didn't seem to remember it. She wasn't sort of grateful or anything. She was just back to normal. But no reason why she should be grateful, but I just felt, oh, I'd done this wonderful thing, and it was just absolutely routine. The strange thing was, it wasn't scary. That's the weird part, to find her like that. The whole thing was sort of ordinary, except that I'd done it right, I felt. But when I told my parents when I got home, they were really quite angry. Not with me, but with Grandma, because it wasn't right that I should have to be put through that, and she should be more careful and so on, and then a sort of discussion as between them whether this was right, whether it was okay to leave me with her and so on. And I remember thinking, well, okay to leave me with her, if I hadn't been there she might have died, so surely it was a good thing, not a bad thing. But thinking's weird, isn't it? But I remember telling them, please don't tell Grandma, because she'll be angry that I've told you. And as far as I know, they didn't tell her, and everything went on for a while exactly as normal. I just mentioned a few of the games that because of course the games are different, because I had different friends being down there. This is where we spent a lot of time doing archery, with an arrow with a sucker on the end, but nevertheless it was still competitive. Of course, the big advantage with the sucker on it, you could actually shoot it at people. And I know my friend David, I think his name was. He had been taught properly to hold the it's only like a toy bow and arrow, but to hold it up like this and with his and sight it with his eye. Now, I think I was saying before, I'm left-handed in some things, right-handed in others, and with a bow and arrow, naturally, I think I'm right. I think that's right-handed this way anyway. But I'm not right-eyed. My father had the same problem. He used to tell me that really you want to put it here and you can't do that, can you? And then this way it's sort of wrong as well. So I found it was just as easy to hold it almost at hip height and just look at what you're aiming for and go like that. It's much quicker. You can even hold a couple of the arrows in this hand, and so you can sort of go like that, pick it up and fire 2 or 3 in one after the other. Much quicker and almost as accurate. I wouldn't say I was as accurate, but almost as accurate. Anyway, other games were mock sword fighting. We did that with bean canes, broken in half. Anyone that had sort of got broken, then you get the end smooth, and then you sort of fight. You didn't actually hit each other, but you just sort of hit the canes together in the middle. That was actually quite good fun. Sort of almost playing at whatever. Who was it? William Tell, I think it was on the telly at that time. Sort of having a go at that. But we also played cricket, French cricket, which is where your legs are the wicket, and so only you can play with just 2 people. The person has to bowl from where you hit it to. So the further away you hit it and the straighter you hit it forward, the less chance he's got of hitting your legs next time. If he can get near to you or behind you, it's much easier for him to hit your legs and you're out. We did also play, usually at school though, for sort of break time or whatever. We used to play ordinary cricket and kicking a football about. We'd have 1 goal sort of thing, and it's just painted on the wall. But there was, what else was there? I suppose that's all I can think of for the minute. Oh, the key thing was rounders. It's supposedly a girls' game, but we used to all play it. I really used to enjoy rounders. There's just something about rounders. Why it's not a national sport. You see more baseball now than you do rounders. I can't imagine why, because rounders is a very clever game, really. I won't go into the rules, but it's worth looking them up. It's sort of, it's so playable. All you need is the 4 posts, a bat and the ball, and children can play it. It doesn't have to be any particular size or anything. It's just one of those really easy games. It needs quite a few people, but it's easy to play. You can play it on the beach if you were on holiday, in a way that baseball is so much more organised. It's so much more strict, and they have a ball and you have a special glove and this sort of thing. It's just a nice game. Anyway, I suppose I'd just tell one little story of Grandma's, that she used to have a sore spot on her arm which she used to scratch, and I asked her about it once. This was after Grandad had died of cancer, and she explained, I'm sure quite wrongly, that this was a male cancer, and it would sort of itch then, and what a pleasure it was to scratch it, and that it was searching all the time, this male cancer, for the female cancer which she had elsewhere in her body, and by scratching this she would feel the female cancer would respond. And you think to yourself, well, shouldn't you stop doing it then? because she then explained that when the two got together, of course, then she started off with cancer properly, and then she'd eventually be joining Grandad. Well, I suppose it's a sign into the mind of a grieving widow, actually, I suppose, looking back on it, though at the time, I suppose I took it as relatively, well, no, I took it that she believed it, but I wasn't at all sure that I did. I certainly didn't understand it in the way that it makes perhaps a bit more sense now. I come back to it many years later as what she was really talking about. So on that basis, I'll stop there. Bye.